Welcome back to Stat Chat. We've got another redraft today. We did one of these, I reckon, BT, probably 2 months ago, and you guys
Mhm.
absolutely loved it.
Yeah, these are good fun. These are.
So last time we did 2005. Today we're redrafting the 2006 draft, and we have with us special guest Rudi Edsall here to help us do it. Rudi, welcome back to the channel. We had you part of the Creator Classic Season 2. We enjoyed having you on so much, we thought we got to get you back, and we're doing a redraft.
Wonderful to be back. I had a lot of fun, even though I lost the first time round, and I think I embarrassed myself a little bit in the eyes of the general
Well,
AFL and more specifically AFL draft community. But I just can't stay away. I just love trivia so much.
no, beautiful. And I would see this as a chance to redeem yourself for the draft loving community because we brought you back to do draft. So, for those who didn't see the first episode of the redraft series, we're taking a look back today at the 2006 draft. Now, this includes the 2006 national draft and the 2007 rookie draft because the AFL does some weird stuff back then, like it's with the years and all that sort of stuff. So, effectively, we're saying any players that were drafted in the 2006 off season. We're going to get 10 picks each, a piece, and we're looking to draft a player as if they were going to play the rest of their career from this point onwards. We're not counting anything they did previously. We're only counting it from 2006 onwards, BT. That's the rules, and we're pretty firm on that.
I'm happy with whatever. I like these videos because they're nice and chilled. I don't have to think too much.
There we go. That's what we want to see. If you're excited for the video, make sure you give this a like and let us know below if you disagree with any of our picks. And more importantly, Rudi, let us know who you think had the best draft because whilst we're not being competitive here, there's got to be a little bit of something in this. There's got to be a little bit of spice in the video.
Definitely.
Always, always.
So, Rudi, you are the guest on the channel. We're going to do this snake draft style. You're going to get pick one, BT pick two, myself pick three. So, Rudi, you're spoilt for choice at the top of the order. Who are you taking at number one in the 2006 redraft?
This is probably the easiest decision I'll ever make. It'll be Joel Selwood at number one. I don't reckon that's controversial. I don't really see an argument to not have him at number one. 355 games, and then obviously like the four flags, one as skipper, most games captained in the comp's history. He was a rising star in '07. Most finals played, I think, as well. Most wins as captain. Like pretty much just an incredible resume. The toughest bastard I've
Oh,
ever
yeah.
seen play a game of footy. Yeah, like as a Cats fan as well, like I think it's not a stretch to say he's probably the greatest Geelong cat of all time. Like he's maybe not the
Yeah.
best, but he's the greatest. And yeah, I love him to absolute pieces. So yeah, there you go. There you have it. Joel Selwood.
It is hard to disagree with, but I will say there was probably another cat that was in contention. I reckon there's three very good players at the top of this order, BT. So I think we're all not going to miss out with our first round picks.
Well, Selwood wasn't my number one.
Well,
He was number three for me. I'm
What?
I'm going with Tom. I'm going with Tomahawk.
so pick two,
The
BT
if you
taking the Tomahawk, and it's not bad, is it, Rudi?
Look, it's not bad. It's just not right.
mid, midfielders are a dime a dozen. Key forwards, key backs. They're the ones that win you the premierships. If
Midfielders
you
are a
if
dime a
you
dozen. Joel Selwood is one in a million.
Hard as a cat's head is Joel Selwood. Let's talk about Tomahawk though, BT. So obviously a father-son selection here, but we've got five-time All-Australian.
Five-time All-Australian, with just under 800 goals. He dished it off a lot as well. If he was a selfish forward like a lot of them, he would have probably got close to the thousand. If you've got to pick two and you know that you're going to get an 800 goal forward, you're taking that every day of the week.
Yeah, you're not unhappy. And look, I'm not going to waste any time here because I'm going to pick another guy that was almost an 800 goal full forward at pick number three. Look, I'm surprised that he got through as well. Jack Riewoldt, a three-time Coleman medal winner, three-time All-Australian, three-time premiership player. It doesn't get much better than that at pick three.
The only other thing I'd mention is that one time that he crawled up the race after he was concussed. One of the all-time great footy moments.
Oh, and obviously the concussion rules brought in largely, I think, because of that day. But Jack, obviously doing some good work on the Fox Footy. You've got the Fox Footy background behind you as well. But
Is
yeah,
that
I
the
think
moon?
how good's Robbo? We need to do a deep dive on Robbo, I think, don't we?
I think everyone needs to do a deep dive on Robbo, one of the greats.
But I'm not unhappy to get Riewoldt there. I honestly had Riewoldt ahead of Hawkins purely because of the accolades, purely
Yeah.
because of the more Colemans. But yeah, I think the clear top three.
Yeah,
This is
I
where
shit canned BT for the Hawkins over Selwood call, or the Selwood at 3 call, but I reckon you're right. The top three, there's not a heap in it, really. And like Riewoldt and Hawkins, you'd be happy with either of them. Like BT, you mentioned Hawk, how he changed his game. Oh, he didn't like he's not selfish. Like Riewoldt changed his game to go away from that like selfish type to being a guy who brought people in and like it brought him 3 flags. He's like one of the more
Oh,
remarkable
definitely.
footy stories, really. Like
yeah,
the way he
Mhm.
changed his whole almost like makeup as a player. A really, really remarkable story.
sharing that forward line at the end there with Tom Lynch as well. So, nah, certainly happy to get him at pick 3. Now, the beauty of this draft is we're going snake style, which means that I get pick 4, and I'm not unhappy with that at all. Although I am also sport for choice here. Sometimes guest on this show, Tazza, he's a Port Adelaide man, and I am going to Port Adelaide with this pick. I'm going to take Robbie Gray, 4-time All-Australian, Coaches Association MVP in 2014. Just one of the more electric mid forwards in his era. He had longevity, played 270 games, and I think at his peak, BT was one of the best in the competition.
Oh, he was an absolute gun, wasn't he? He was so dangerous with the football. He didn't even need, at times, he would rack him up. He could easily get 30, but you put him in that forward line, he could easily kick 5 that game. Easy.
Rudy, there's probably some players here that had a little bit more longevity than Robbie Gray, but are probably valuing his peak here as opposed to playing 350 plus games.
No, he's my pick 4 as well for the same reason. Like at his peak, he was one of the few that had the like felt like he could touch the Gary Ablett sort of level almost in
Yeah.
terms of like kind of as you mentioned, like the full package in terms of threat. It wasn't just
Mhm.
that he was dangerous around goals, it was that he could set him up and like be the guy who was extracting. He was good in the air for a bloke of his size as well. He's just like a really, really
Mhm.
complete player. Almost goes unheralded now.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Remarkably
that.
for the resume, like the was it 4 All Aus, 3 BNF as well as what
Yeah.
I said, it's a ridiculous resume, and he was a terrifyingly good player.
Yeah, and 350 plus goals as well, a genuine match winner. So I'm happy with that at pick 4. BT, you're wedged in the middle here. So pick
Mm.
5. Where are you going with this one?
I'm tossing between two, but if I had pick 5 in a draft and I got a ruckman that played 345 games and is the
Wow.
all-time leading hitouts, I would be more than happy with that. His accolades, obviously not huge. That's a lot because of the team he played for. But I think if you're getting a ruckman that's played that many games, and I don't even like ruckman, I think they're useless. You're taking that every day of the week at a pick 5.
This is where I'm shocked. And Rudy, I know you've seen a little bit of our content, but BT is notoriously a man that does not like Ruckman. And I reckon he's passed over 2 potential Hall of Fame midfielders to pick Toddy, who's a 1-time All Australian. Your thoughts?
Yeah, not how I'd have gone with it as well. Like there's a lot of value in longevity for sure for Goldie and yeah, most hitouts in AFL history, but I feel like playing that many games, that was kind of just always going to happen.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
do love Goldie. I had him. I think I had him at pick 8 in my own personal list. Like, and the longevity, also just like a workhorse of a bloke as well.
Oh,
A guy that you
now,
knew,
even
yeah,
now.
even now, yeah. Like watching him, poor old exhausted Goldie, like drag his carcass around for Essendon now, like so thanklessly. He would have played in some of the worst footy teams of the last 5 years and still getting it done. Still going bright red straight away. So yeah, I think I think it's a fair pick. I wouldn't have put it at 5 myself, but I get it. I get it.
Where are you going, Rudy? Because I think you have been spoiled here with some back-to-back picks coming your way at pick 6 and 7.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm probably going to take those 2 Hall of Fame mids that you mentioned, mate. So for me, my pick 5 in this draft would have been Josh P. Kennedy of Hawthorn/Sydney fame.
Yep.
Played in that 2012 flag at Hawthorn, but also the 3 All-Australians, the 3 BNFs. One of the best grand final quarters you'll ever see in 2016.
Should have had an All Smith.
Mm,
Yeah. I can cop an argument for it. If they'd won, he was probably
yeah.
the most no-brainer pick up to there. And yeah, just a guy who was like, we mentioned Goldie's dependability. Like Josh Kennedy was, you know, the most dependable inside midfielder I reckon I've just about ever seen. Like you just knew you were going to get like 15 contested and 6 clearances pretty much a game out of him. And then yeah, I watched him beat entire good midfields by himself enough times that I just think he's an absolute superstar. Josh Kennedy, yeah, just the biggest shoulders in footy as well.
Oh yeah, he was an absolute unit. And BT, that was a stacked Sydney midfield, and I think you could easily say he was the best of that Sydney midfield throughout the 2010s.
Oh, I completely agree. And he was good for a long period of time as well.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And he kind of changed his game. Like as he got older, he got more like inside instead of having to use his skill as well. And he was just good all around the park, just a solid midfielder.
Yeah, they did try him as a wing in his last season, I reckon, and
Yeah.
it was like, ooh, okay, maybe put him back inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
um, I'm going again, aren't I?
You are, and I think the pick is obvious here, isn't it?
Yeah, another good Geelong boy, although he never came home. Travie Boak, 387 games in the end, although Port will tell you it's like 405. Don't listen to him. Um, was the captain for 5 seasons there. He's their games record holder, and well, I've got written down 3 All-Australian, 2 BNFs, 3 Showdown medals. He was just a guy who could kind of do everything really well. Nothing really sticks out to me as Boak. Like he's obviously really good inside mid, but it doesn't really stick out to me as like being like the best at that or anything. But he was just incredibly accomplished and did it for an insanely long time. And you just knew again, like you just knew what you were going to get. And for him to do it for nearly 400 games is just crazy. Like and in good port sides as well. Like obviously his sort of earlier career coincided with the TARP era at Port, but they contended a lot under Kenny, and Trav was there. He was there.
Balance is the word that immediately came to mind for me when you talk about Travis Boak. Before we move on to BT's pick, you touched on the Cats raid where they tried to poach Boak, and I think it was 2012 where they met him at the airport. You want to touch on that or your memories of that as a Cats fan?
Yeah, what they sent over, Chris Scott
Selwood, I think, went
yeah,
over.
Selwood, and I reckon Jimmy Bartell.
Mm,
It's a convincing trio, man. This is a guy who's obviously got great strength of character to be able to turn that down. Like
yeah,
Chris Scott's an imposing figure. I remember his playing days at Brisbane. If he came to me and demanded me to do something, I think I'd struggle to say no.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Joel Selwood as well. So, yeah, I think that reflected on him incredibly well. Like obviously, I was, pretty happy. I would have loved him to come to Geelong, but I think it reflected on him incredibly well as a bloke that he stuck around. Like Port were in the doldrums then. I mentioned the Tufts
Yeah.
as well. They were absolutely in the doldrums, and Geelong were like just Geelong. And he could have easily, like made the call to go to Geelong, and who knows how his career plays out after that. But for him to stay at Port and then to like help rebuild them, like what a character.
So 3 elite midfielders there for Rudi. And just to recap, we're not judging this on like a squad. So the fact that Rudi has picked all mids is don't hold that against him. It's just who is the best pick at that point in the draft for what their career is going to be from that point onwards. So again, comments below for who you think has had the best draft when it's all said and done. BT, pick 8. Where are you going?
I'm tossing up between probably three here. I'm going to go with Shane Edwards
Mm,
with the 3 premierships and the one-time All-Australian, which was a surprise All-Australian, to be honest with you, that year. Surprised because like he didn't have high disposals, he didn't have high goals, but it was everything outside of that he did.
yeah, 303 games. I think he's one
Yeah.
of 6 Indigenous players to play 300 games as well. So really good accomplishment for Shane Edwards. Just did things well, didn't he, Rudi?
Hmm.
Yeah, again, just a guy who was just classy, right?
Yeah.
Very creative by hand. Yeah, just kind of like he just made good decisions. And he just seemed like a really lovely dude as
Yeah.
well. He was like the Cats had a pretty hated rivalry with Richmond in that period. And yeah, I think I remember him like training with Gary Ablett in the hub, and it was like obviously a big thrill for him. Like, because he came back late in that 2020 season, and there
Yes.
was like that will he won't he, they flew him in and he had to do his quarantine. Lol.
I remember that.
Yeah, and yeah, just a guy, and I was like so pleased for him to get up, and probably had a material impact on my own team winning or losing that grand final. But I was just so pleased for him. He just a good guy, and like 300 games It's just a great footy story. Great footy story.
It's a good pick, BT. I think this is sort of the area of the draft where things start to get a bit interesting. I'm a little bit.
It gets shit.
I wouldn't say that. I'd just say it gets interesting. You've got pros and cons to players now. It's funny because I'm picking here at pick 8, and I think I'm going to pick a guy that, in all honesty, I don't think lived up to his potential. The number 1 pick that year, Bryce Gibbs, never made an All-Australian. He's the kind of guy that you look at and you think he's an All-Australian type of player, but never made an All-Australian, only made the squad once in 2014. He won the Blues Best and Fairest that year. Had quite a poor cameo, I think it'd have to be said, a disappointing cameo at Adelaide at the end of his career. But really at his best, he was a line-breaking midfielder, good skills, really good off halfback when they did play him at halfback, a good user. And for the AFL fantasy coaches out there, he was one of your first picked in the defence line for probably a good 3 or 4 year period there, Rudi.
Yeah. Never been a huge fantasy player myself, but I can definitely see why. He was pretty clean and racked him up big time. Probably unfortunate to have had to play so long for Carlton.
Yeah.
In that sense. A guy like him in a good side. We just talked about Shane Edwards, right? Yeah, at the end of the day, if Gibbs is playing for Richmond and they come good about that time,
it's a different story.
It's a different story. Class in disposal is kind of what I've always considered Gibbs as, a guy who could get 40 and, 33 of them are kicks and they all hit the target.
Yeah.
His role probably never suited Carlton. And then they kind of, like you mentioned, the disappointing cameo at Adelaide. Unfortunately, his body kind of let him down, is how I recall it. And at that point, it was probably a few years too late. But I think the postscript to his career, I think he might have won a McGarry medal.
He did.
Yeah.
He did as the best player to retire in the 2021 season. Speaking about the trade as well, so it was actually, I think it was the 2016 off-season, the year before the Crows made the grand final. I might be a year out here, but the Crows and the Blues failed to make that trade happen. So he actually got done the following season, which was a really interesting story, that one. So had to wait a full 12 months to actually make the move across to the Crows, and probably could have made a difference to that flag. I mean, Richmond, the best team of the day, obviously, in 2017, but a really interesting story.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd forgotten that context. Imagine he spends all that time at Carlton and then moves to Adelaide right off a grand final, and so actually turns out they're 8 years from making finals again. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, unreal. I've got back-to-back picks here. So pick 10. We're going to round out the top 10. Now I know we're not looking at the draft and we're not looking at positions specifically, but I do see a lot of key defenders later on, so I might wait a little bit. I'm going to pick the next guy on my board, and it is 3-time premiership player Basher Hooley, a 1-time All-Australian off the halfback flank in a flag year in 2019, 232 games across 2 clubs, and really it's the story of what could have been for the Bombers, letting go Hooley for effectively a packet of chips. His disposal off halfback, his poise, his composure. But Rudi, also touching on your point with Shane Edwards, just a really good bloke and a really good leader for his community.
Yeah, community leader and the kind of guy who was a perfect ambassador for that community. Another guy who I just adored in his footy days. I actually had genuinely forgotten when I was doing the research for this. I was like, oh, that's right, he got drafted by Essendon.
Yeah.
Because I just think of him as so Richmond. So
just a Richmond player.
Yeah, just a Richmond player, and the 3 flags there, but he felt like such a heart of the culture, because we spoke about Jack earlier and how he turned his sort of his whole mindset around, but it felt like the whole club had that shift around that time, and it kind of felt like, obviously I don't have a line into the club, but it kind of felt like Bashar was one of the guys who was helped sort of turn that dial,
drive the change. Yeah,
drive the change. Yeah, and then also drive the playoff half back. That game plan of just always tumbling everything forward as much as they could. There was no thinking about options or anything. It was just move. Yep. And Hooley was the kind of guy who could play that role, but also had the class to play it with accuracy and penetration. The whole thing doesn't work without Hooley. Yeah, I had him pick 10 in my on my board as well. So I think we're pretty in agreement there.
There we
I
go.
had him at 10 as well.
Oh, look at this. How good. I think this is the point of the draft where things do get dicey, BT. Pick 11.
Yep, this is where opinions come into it, really, isn't it? There's not many accolades to go off now. I'm going with probably the best fullback in this draft. I mean, with James Frawley.
Yeah.
He was just a good defender, really. Just especially when he went to Hawthorn. Just there's nothing really special about him. Like, you know what I mean? He was just a good defender.
Honest defender.
Yeah.
Got the job done. Yeah, just the kind of guy you could rely on, really. And it's you sort of forget that he had. I think he played 2 games for St Kilda right at the end of his career. There, did they? Did
Yeah,
they
he
give him
did come
Spud's number?
I don't know. Did he play? But it was that late cameo, wasn't it?
I just remember him just being like the only good player playing for Melbourne.
Yeah.
Felt like.
And he won an All-Australian in 2010 in a really dark days for Melbourne. So that's a good pick. Rudi, are you going back to the well of key defenders or are you going elsewhere?
Well, the guy I'm going to go with, he could play key back, he could play key forward, could play on the ruck, could play him on the wing. 280 games for Port Adelaide, Justin Westhoff.
Yeah, love that.
He was actually 9 on my board. I always thought he was one of the most underrated players in footy, kind of like a bearded Mark Blitzarves in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. He played in their grand final in his first year. Like he was that, and like that tall, sort of lanky guy. He wasn't like a project key player like say Tom Hawkins was. And he wasn't like ultra athletic like Jack Riewoldt, but he was just a guy who could sort of just like get the job done. He just had that footy nous and stuff. Yeah, his ability to find the goals, but then you could play him up the ground. You could sort of like put him sort of wherever was needed. If I were a Port fan, he'd be the kind of guy I would view extremely fondly. Huge fan of Westhoff.
I'm just looking through his career here, and he's probably got about 10 seasons where he kicked 20 plus goals and was never really the dedicated big kahuna up front as well. As you said, just love that as a genuine swingman and a Mr. Fix-It. That's a great pick there, Rudi. You've got back-to-back selections though, so what are you going to do with that?
So you mentioned this is where it gets interesting. I was actually, to be honest, when I did the research for this, I was shocked by the depth of this draft. I think it was like 19 guys that played 200 games. It was pretty good. My next one up that I got on my list here is actually a 2-club player. You sort of forget his first club, Jared Harbrow. He was for a while there the games record holder. I think he's bumped down now.
Number 3 now.
Number 3 now, yep. He won a BNF in a really dark era. I reckon it might have been the year that Lynch and May both left. And the year after Ablett had left. So it was like the absolute doldrums of, just about the worst any footy club's ever been going, Harbrow, but he just carried that team for so long. Like if you were putting together Mount Rushmore, if you were naming like club legends, I think that Harbrow is probably the number 1 cab off the rank when you come to club legends for
Harbrow,
Gold Coast
Swallow. You'd probably put Gary Ablett on there, and then I think probably Witsy at this point for the Gold Coast Suns is up there as well. But loving
probably,
that too.
I mean, thank you. Triple M officers are right in a new era, and I got this for $5, I think.
How good's that?
And I was like, I'm absolutely having that because it'd be a fun little collector's item in however many years' time. I didn't think they'd change their logo so soon, but I knew it was coming because this one is no good.
It's no good. All right, Jared Harbrow, I think that's an excellent selection. Good back-to-backs there from Rudi. BT, over to you.
I'm going with pick 22 in the rookie draft. So the 2007 rookie draft, Matt Suckling.
Oh, I love this pick. Yes.
Wow.
I loved watching Matt Suckling play. That booming left boot, the awkward kicking style, and a 2-time premiership player. I don't know. I personally, I think he was a good player, obviously, but personally, I loved watching him actually play.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's something about lefties that can kick it with a bit of penetration. It's just like you watch it and you're like, this is footy. This is what footy looks like.
Like a Daniel Rich.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly like a Daniel Rich. Yes, perfect comparison. I also almost don't remember what else he did well.
No.
The man just kicked the footy. And I can always imagine him kicking goals. Surprisingly, didn't kick as many goals as you'd think. 85 from a 178 game career. but do love this pick, BT. A little bit for the nostalgia, but definitely a solid player.
He played most of his footy at half back, and he would get those, they mark on the 50 and there'll be a half back running pass and you handball and they kick it. That's where he got most of his goals, I'd say.
Yeah, that's where he thrived. I'm at pick 15 here, so we're officially at the halfway point of the draft with this selection. I'll be honest, BT, I thought you were going to go this guy when you started talking about a rookie draft selection as a backman. Nick Smith is who I'm taking off the board right here.
I was hoping I could get him further down.
He was next on my list, yeah.
No chance of getting him further down. A one-time All-Australian, a flag winner in 2012, one of the more underrated players going around. You give a man a job in the back pocket, and Nick Smith gets it done every time. Hard as a cat's head, Rudi. I'm pretty happy to get him there.
In many ways, one of the more forgettable guys, like in the sense that he was literally named Nick Smith. He played for Sydney in the back pocket and it tucked away there on Fox Footy at 4:35 on a Saturday, probably. My partner and all her family are Sydney fans, and when I mentioned to her I was doing this redraft and that Nick Smith was involved, she was anxious to make sure that I got him up the board as far as I could, because Sydney fans adore this bloke.
One of those underrated players and definition of a role player. He's probably honestly a top 5 favorite player of mine. Wow. I just love those players who just get the job done every week. And that was him.
Just appreciating the validation of my pick there. As we move into the second half of the draft, I'll keep it moving because I'm cognizant this is a long video so far. If you are enjoying this sort of content as well, it's new stuff for us. We enjoy making it. We enjoy having guests like Rudi come on the channel as well to do it. So if you are enjoying this style of content, make sure you give this video a like and let us know in the comments below. I am going to now go to the well of key defenders, but I'm going to pick a guy that could play forward a bit if you needed him to. A one-time premiership player with the Pies and an All-Australian in 2011. I'm taking Ben Reid off the board here. I just think out of the key defenders available, probably the best accolades, good amount of flexibility, loved his height, loved what he could do in the back line. Ben Reid, BT, that's where I'm going with my pick.
I think he was probably the next pick I was going to take as well. Just got the job done. Injuries killed him as well.
He got a little bump up for me for playing in 2011 when he was unfit and making Tom Hawkins who he was.
Yeah. So he was a good player, but just one of those guys.
I'm being churlish to him. He was a gun. He was literally All-Australian that year. They were a very fierce setup, that 2011 Pies side, and he was a huge part of why they were so good.
BT, pick 17. Where are we going?
I don't know. I honestly don't know where to go from here, to be honest with you. A lot of these players just, they are what they are. But I'm just going to go with, I think the supporters of this club just love this player, and he was just there through shit times. I'm going with Jaron Geary for the Saints in the rookie draft. He was captain, wasn't he, for I don't know how many years it was though exactly, but he was just a good player still. Well, not an outstanding player, probably like a C, B+ player, but I feel like he's like a cult hero for St Kilda fans.
Yeah,
my opinion.
You'd be happy with 200 games and like 4 or 5 seasons as skipper at pick 58 on the rookie list.
Yeah.
Was it Jaron Geary who had that really terrible injury that like we had like compartment syndrome, whatever? It looked like his leg was going to explode. Was that Jaron Geary?
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I think it might have stopped him going to China because he couldn't fly.
I'm sure they'll let us know in the comments.
I'm not going to lie there, BT. I mean, Jaron Geary, great player, but a bit of a reach, I reckon, going for a genuine role player at this point in the draft.
He did say he loves a role player.
Yep, I love a role player. That's what I love. And like Rudi said, pick 58 in the rookie draft.
It's a good story. It
is a good story. All right, Rudi, pick 18. Where are we looking?
Much maligned, this man. I think you guys may possibly laugh at me for this one. 2-club player. Got his original club in a little bit of draft trouble with the move. Kurt Tippett, who the ruck/forward who made the move from to the Swans like I said, a little bit controversial. I always thought he was underrated. He copped heaps of grief towards the end of his career because his ruck numbers weren't great, but his forward numbers weren't great. But I always thought that he was a guy who was a really good option for both. I was one of the more thankless jobs in footy. Try and play as a genuine like ruck and forward combo. Kicked over 300 goals and had his career cut short, I think, by injuries. Yeah, I thought he was a really good player. He's a guy I was stuck up for in Facebook comment sections,
Yeah.
back when that was the thing that you'd do. I like Kurt Tippett, and I think that you'd be happy with. I've got it here: 178 games, 125 goals. You'd be happy with that, I reckon, from pick 18. I think you said we're up to.
Yeah, I had him at 16 on my big board, and I think you nailed it. You nailed it on the head there. Playing second fiddle to Buddy in that team, always going to be tough to do. Did his job well. Was really good at Adelaide, and injuries probably hurt him. But I think that's a rock solid pick. Double picks here for Rudi, pick 19.
I've gone with Lindsay Thomas.
Oh yeah,
not a huge amount of accolades. Another guy who copped a bit of grief in Facebook comment sections over the years, especially towards the end. I always thought that he was a great small forward, to be honest. Like kick a goal and a half a game, creative, 200 games, 300 plus goals. Extremely happy with that as a first round selection. But yeah, I understand he became a bit of a meme towards the end of his career. But I hold a candle for those guys.
BT, you look like you had thoughts on this as soon as the pick came in.
I don't know if I'm copying that from Jaron Geary over here.
Lindsay Thomas was just one of those guys who I watched and I was like, oh my God, this guy is such a spud. just my complete opinion. I just thought this guy's a spud. Some of the shit he did in some games.
Oh.
To be fair, in this draft, he kicked the 4th most goals out of everyone in this draft.
4th most.
It's impressive. I will say as well before we move on to the next pick, I think Lindsay Thomas in a 5-year span kicked 210 goals. Now that is a pretty good output.
That's for a small forward, that's a serious output.
Yeah. And obviously an All-Australian 40 year in 2013. So laugh all you want, it's not that bad of a pick, I don't think. BT.
Thanks, Josh.
All these players, like I said, there's not that many good players left in this draft, so...
I think there is. I think there's depth here, and at pick 20, you've got work to do.
Yeah, see, I'm just so torn on some of these players on who I want. I don't even think I've selected a midfielder yet, have I?
Not that we're going on that basis.
Depends what you call Jaron Geary.
He's your starting.
Yeah, true. Yeah, at the moment he is.
First centre bounce, yeah.
Geez, there's some players I want to pick, but I just can't pick them at this time. I think I'm going to go with Sharad Wellingham.
Yes, love this pick. Great.
Say it. If you're picking him, you got to say
Wellingham.
It's the vibrato together. Wellingham.
Yeah.
This is exactly where I had him on my board too. Pick 20.
Yeah.
Really underrated player. Yeah, really underrated player. Silky skills, I thought. Like nose for goal. One of those kind of guys who you don't necessarily notice, but he just does. He'll do a couple of good things here or there and just justify the selection. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Sharad Wellingham.
And the Eagles didn't get what they wanted when they drafted him. So they were looking to get a mid to add to that repertoire of Pritis and Shuey that they had at the time. I think literally the preseason that he arrived, did a pretty serious ankle injury on a trampoline. Never really bounced back after that, but sort of cemented a role as that halfback distributor alongside Lewis Jetta when they had a bit of crossover there as well.
Yeah.
So
just because he had a bit of class, like that was
exactly. Yeah, he could be frustrating at times when he came to us as Eagles supporters, but he was definitely a good player. He was.
I was interested to see where Sharad came in on your guys' list because I was expecting to have a pretty free run at him and to have copped the response I got when I picked Lindsay Thomas when I picked Sharad.
No, I got no issues with that either. I had him at slot 21, so I reckon that's around the areas. I've got back-to-back picks here. I've got pick 21. I'm going to go with a guy that I actually had a little bit higher up on my board, and you may say this is home team bias, but I'm taking Eric McKenzie here at pick 21.
Yeah. This is exactly where I had him on my board.
Yeah, I don't think he had the accolades, obviously, from a national competition perspective, but he took over from Darren Glass in a West Coast Eagles team and honestly did not look a step out of place. Made the All-Australian 40 twice. I think he was probably stiff to not get in the team at least once. Was a best and fairest winner for the Eagles. Injuries really hurt him. at the end of his career. He probably could have played 200 plus games, but just fell apart and was on the list in the 2018 flag year, but didn't play a game that season. The thing, BT, that I will always remember Eric McKenzie for is a game that you were at, the 2017 elimination final against Port Adelaide.
What a game that was. That in that extra time is what you're talking about? Where he
It was
saved
just
from-
leading up to extra time. There was probably
it was
less than
just
30
before.
seconds
Okay,
to
yeah,
go.
it was just before. That's it. Yeah.
I remember Bring Righty nearly put his shoulder out doing it, like bringing the ball back in to stop it going through for a point. That genuinely bumped him up 3 spots. When I remembered that moment, that bumped him up like 3 spots on my list. I was like, that's one of the best things I've ever seen a player do. It was such incredible game awareness.
He kicked the game winner against St Kilda as well, didn't he?
Yeah, there was a game that I don't know how he ended up forward, but he somehow got on the end of one and kicked the game winner. I think that might have been his only goal for his whole career. I've got here he kicked 7. I actually don't know how he kicked 7. But anyway, Eric McKenzie.
Like Ricky Ponting wickets, mate.
Yeah, as we see from BT's book collection behind him. Pick 22 for me, and I'm going to take the second ruckman off the board here, and I'm pretty happy he's lasted to me. Sauce Jacobs was pick 1 in the rookie draft this year. I'm taking him at pick 22 here. Anytime you can get a 200-plus game ruckman who made the All-Australian squad 3 times, I think you've got to be pretty happy with that. I think you could always say that Sauce was probably around on the fringe of being a top 5 ruckman in the comp for probably a good 5-year period, and I'm pretty happy to take that here.
Yeah, I always quite liked Sauce as well. He was one of those guys who, you could sort of rely on him to beat. If you say he's top 5, he probably reliably will beat the 13 blokes below him every time as well, and then take one of the top 5 scalps every now and then too. Just a consistent operator. I'll be honest though, the main thing I remember about Sauce Jacobs is just like the heroic amount of freckles he had on his face. Genuinely redheaded man.
The definition of a ginger, absolute unit of a man. BT, pick 23.
I actually don't know too much about this bloke. I'm going with David Mackay.
Yeah.
I kind of remember him playing. I kind of do, but 250 games or 248 games or whatever it was.
But that's David Mackay to a T. He's a genuine role player that you forget anything about him, but just was there, consistent, reliable, Rudi.
He reminds me of Jack Redden in that sense. It's just, he plays his 200 plus and then, moves on to his real estate career. I assume the only thing I really remember about David Mackay is I remember he broke Hunter Clark's jaw, I think during COVID, was one of those test cases for whether the bump was dead or not. And they ruled that the bump was not dead in 0 weeks. But that's, I'm kind of scraping the bottom. I'm kind of scraping to remember anything about him as well.
We are at this point of the draft. So let's get some niche picks going here, Rudi. Pick 24.
Sean Grigg from Carlton, I've got here. Picked for Carlton, went to Richmond. Solid operator. I think the Richmond fans would remember him with fondness, not just for playing in the flag, but also he selflessly retired midway through 2019. So
That's
they
right,
had a spot in the mid-season draft and picked Marlon Pickett with it.
And what a story that turned out to be, hey?
Quality ruckman as well.
Yeah, really good ruckman as well. Yeah,
I'm just glad to see we've got the third ruckman picked in this draft, Sean Grigg. How about it?
And my other, because I go again straight away, my other pick, I'll take another Collingwood premiership tall off the board. First goal in the replay, I reckon, Tyson Goldsack.
Great pick. Another underrated guy.
Yeah, another guy that could do a couple of things pretty well. Like first goal in a grand final, just a decent player. I think did he come in for the replay
Yes,
at the
I was about to say that.
Leon Davis?
Because Presti was on the cusp of selection, but he didn't get there. And Tyson Goldsack, as you said, came in for the replay, and he's a premiership player. That's a good pick. That's your second last pick, by the way, Rudi. By the time we come back around to you, you will have the final selection in the draft. BT, pick 26. Where are we going?
Okay, so this is my second last now. I'll go with Nathan Brown.
I had him right there at the top of my board.
I think, premiership player as well, just a solid defender, really, wasn't it? He played a little bit forward, am I right?
Not a lot, really, no. You're thinking about his twin who played for the Eagles, Mitch Brown.
That's what I'm thinking.
Obviously, recently coming out as the first bisexual man. So, obviously, big props to Mitch Brown. But his twin, Nathan Brown, yeah, agreed. I think that's the right pick at this point of the draft.
He's
Just a solid
definitely the
player,
next guy on
wasn't
my board as well. Same thing, just a decent player.
All right.
Josh.
Pick 27, my second last pick of the draft. I've got options. I've got a name at the top of my board. I'm actually going to... No, I'll pick this guy because I think he doesn't have the accolades, but I reckon he was genuinely one of the better midfielders for the Saints for probably a good 2 or 3 year period. David Armitage is who I'm picking here. He was picked 9 in the national draft, and I think probably a little bit underperformed for his draft slot. But 169 games, 98 goals. You know what you're going to get as a contested midfielder. Gets in, gets the job done, nothing flashy, and I'm happy with that at this point of the draft.
Yep, I'm looking at his stats: 169 games, 98 goals. Either way, you'd be incredibly happy with that output from pick that point of the draft, I thought.
I reckon he would have been a better player if he was with like better midfielders.
Yeah, I don't
If he
disagree
was
with
the
that.
third, fourth best midfielder and they can distribute to him because he was a good left foot, he would have been better that way. He was just straight into and he had to be kind of like the best player in that team, didn't he, really?
Another good left footer.
Yeah, another good left footer. Love watching those left footers.
Probably why I got up to pick 9. The recruiters were like, this is what footy looks like. Good left footer.
That's what you need. That's what you need. Right. I've got one last pick to go. I'm just scanning to make sure I don't want to bump anyone up the order a little bit. I think I'm going to take a guy that I'm going to pair with my number 1 pick, which was Jack Riewoldt. So I'm going with a second key forward. Doesn't have the longevity in his career, but was a key component of a Collingwood premiership team, and that is Chris Dawes. I'll look up the stats while we're talking here, but he kicked 130 goals from 121 games, presented well up the ground, took a good mark, little cameo at the Demons at the end of his career as well. At this point of the draft at pick 28, if I'm going to be getting a guy that could genuinely be that number 2 key forward in a premiership team, I'm pretty happy with that.
One of those guys who went to Melbourne at that time where they were completely dire. And remember they brought in like Daniel Cross and like Shannon Burns because they were just like good citizens. And I think that's why they brought in Chris Dawes, because it was like, what we need first and foremost is like blokes that are good blokes, and then we'll worry about the footy after that. And he could play a little bit as well. I always struck me as like one of the really like nice guys of footy.
Yeah, probably untapped potential, but certainly in those 2 grand final years, 2010, 2011, he kicked 30 and 27 goals. So definitely a crucial piece of the puzzle. That's my draft done. So BT, your final pick here at pick 29.
I am going to go with a bit of a fun pick here. This is BT's opinion. This is BT's team. Were you thinking the push-up king?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I want him on my team. I want to play with the push-up king.
I told my Richmond fan mate that whatever my last pick was in the draft, I was going to take Jake King as a culture pick.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I want him.
Rudi, you spent a bit of time with Triple M, and just tell us a little bit about the push-up king and what he meant to the Triple M Rub boys.
Oh, mate, you've all heard the call of that. Do a push-up with him on you? Great, just a great cult figure, and worked on a couple of like Friday shows where he would come in and just played the part perfectly. Funny, like like guy, and I think genuinely like what you see is what you get with Jakey. Just good fun, great vibes. And I listened to him on one of those ex-player podcasts. I can't remember if it was Dill Buckley or Will Schofield. Just a rollicking good time. I love that story about him going and confronting Terry Wallace when he was like barely getting a game out of the twos, because he was just like, this is bullshit how he's treating us. So I marched in there and like read the riot act to the coach. It's so good. So
you talk about a culture pick for me and Chris Dawes. You talk about a culture pick there for BT in the push-up king. But Rudi, it is your time to shine. You have the final pick of this draft. You have options, mate. How are we going to finish this off?
I gave genuine thought to picking Michael Jamison from Carlton, just so I could do that old Carlton mid-ad. Michael Jamison? As I live and breathe. But I think I might have to take Will Schofield. He's probably the best player left, right?
Yeah,
I think 90 odd games, 2018 flag. a podcast that's killing it as well.
It is.
On Fox Footy now, and I enjoy his work. And yeah, genuinely a pretty good footy, like good play. He almost like talks himself down in his media stuff now, and you sort of forget
He
that he was
does.
actually really bloody good.
He was just an old school defender, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just get that ball out.
Well,
Yeah.
he was at the later stages of his career, but early on, he was a very good runner, played some wing time, played half back. I think he was actually and he'd tell you this himself, the underage Geelong 800-meter champion as a junior. So definitely a good athlete. But as you said, BT, near that later stage of his career, certainly from 2015 to 2018 for the Eagles, he bulked up. After the Eagles lost Eric McKenzie and Mitch Brown in 2015. So really changed his game, changed his role. I think not because we're trying to get brownie points from Will Schofield and potentially get him on the channel, but definitely deserving of a spot here at pick 30
and back chat
draft.
I always like listening to him talk about actually defending because like it's just not an art you hear about really. And then like hearing him talk about like they knew which players they could sledge and it would like actually throw them off. And it was like the way they sort of like sussed out what marginal gains they could get from, the way I actually think he's got a lot to offer. I quite like I said, like Will Schofield. And again, you'd be happy with 194 games from your pick 30.
Look, that is a ripping draft right there. That is our redraft of the top 30 picks in the 2006 draft. If you enjoyed this, because this is a good hour-long video, then make sure you let us know in the comments below. Let us know who you think had the best draft, because there are some names that are missing on this board as well. Like you said, Michael Jamison. I'm looking down at Clint Jones, Aaron Edwards, Andre Everett, Leroy Jetta. So there's some iconic names here that didn't get picked. Let us know below who you think was stiff to not make our redraft. Rudi, massive thanks to you for coming on the show. Really appreciate you being part of this video as well as our work on the Creator Classic Season 2 as well. Mate, if you'd like to be back, I'm sure we'd love to have you back.
Mate, I'd love to be back. Genuinely very big fan of the channel. So yeah, anytime you want me, I'm there.
Beautiful. As we're moving more into the off season, more draft related content, we have another redraft coming up very soon on the channel. 1996 with the Gazman. That will be interesting. So if you want to stay tuned for that one, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Aside from that, we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.